Hey there everyone, we'll go live in just about 2 minutes here. So we're going to be looking at the obvious bull break that has just occurred and what needs to occur for weekly trend changes. Certainly not going to be a cakewalk for the bulls here. We do have some resistance approaching. The bears are going to do everything they can to defend that level, but it's going to be an interesting weekend here in the cryptocurrency world. First live crypto stream in a very long time. And I'll check in with the YouTube chat here once I go through my rundown of all these tickers and take some ticker suggestions or answer questions and things like that. Orange is my favorite color. Volume alerts certainly firing off. VFF, nice. Just did the video for VFF. Was actually about to do the USMJ video when this crypto boom happened. And I did have some stop buys on ETH that triggered, so I had to tend to that position. And then I'll get that USMJ video out here after I'm done live. So one more minute. Nice to see the bulls responding. We had that hard rejection over the 4,000 break instantly. Let's look at it on the 2-minute time frame. But nice to see it's not rolling over. You know, if we gave the entire move back, that would be a big red flag. This is a clear smackdown by the bears, but at this point, not a major rejection. And the most important support for me on Bitcoin for the next hour is going to be this low of 39.48. So we're going to do something different with this. We're going to start with small time frames and then we'll zoom out from there because obviously all the action is happening in the last 10-15 minutes or so. All right, we got enough people. Let's do it. So bull breaks occurred. Ethereum, I had a stop buy. We'll start with Ethereum. Had a stop buy that triggered using the 4-hour time frame as my guide as we had a nice tightening pattern to be watching and my entry started triggering. I wanted to be a little bit picky. I didn't want to get faked out and entered on a bull break that didn't break key resistance levels. So my stop was using this 148.60 level and I put my stop buy just under it, knowing that if we broke this first resistance of 147.50 and then my stop buy triggered at 148, 49 or whatever I put it at, that my stop buy alone with that momentum of other people's stop buys would push it through 148.60 and then 149.47. And that is what ended up happening. I went a little bit aggressive here. One of my more aggressive trades, certainly in 2019 and probably for the last 6 months, just in terms of using 60% of my account on that stop buy. And my reason for being that confident in a break is just how healthy it was with the sideways trading. So if you watch the trading, or if you look at the trading view charts that I post each weekday morning, pretty much 2 out of the last 3 days, I was saying like, wow, I woke up this morning and was very surprised to see 4-hour support still holding on Bitcoin. So the bulls proved their resiliency to me over the week, not pulling back. And after that much sideways consolidation and multiple daily inside bars, that's why I had the confidence that a lot of traders would be acting on a bull break for continuation. And I was looking for clues in the stock market yesterday. I was watching GBTC. So GBTC is the Bitcoin Trust, and it closed indecisive. I was looking to see, is it going to close near the high of the day and give some indication that the bulls anticipate bullish action over the weekend? And it didn't. It closed with indecisive action right in the middle of the day. So that was one clue, but we did have the blockchain names close strong. So Riot had multiple daily inside bars break bullish and the end of the day action on Riot. This is the hourly chart. So tightening range with a bull break, increasing bull volume. Another one is MARA. They had the bull break and volume at the end of the day there as well. So the blockchain names did see confidence and strength, whereas GBTC did not give us any clues. So we are seeing the bull break take place now. And we'll look at Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin just broke 4,000. I'm looking at Coinbase right now. We broke 4,000. We got a quick smackdown. 39.48 is a very important level for me, because if we break that level, we give the entirety of this bull move back. And I would still anticipate names like Ethereum to hold their ground because the bull break was more significant here and still maintain an hourly higher low. But obviously the Ethereum bulls do not want to see Bitcoin drop back down and break that level, because again, we're still watching the weekly trend change. That's what all eyes are on. And I want to lay out a couple scenarios here. So obviously, scenario number one is we reject and cannot break 42.39. And if that's the case, then the bears better get on it and really knock this price down, because we're 5% away from a weekly trend change. So that's the battle line that we're all looking at, and that's what the bears are going to be defending against. So that's the key resistance to be watching over the next couple of days. Again, if we don't break that level, we reject and we have a weekly equilibrium to be watching into March. That's one scenario. Scenario two, well, there's multiple scenarios. Scenario two is we get the bull break and follow through. With the lack of resistance after 42.39, we're looking at 44.15 and then really up to 5,000. So scenario two would be a bull break, big surge in volume, and a break of 5,000. That would obviously be the most convincing bullish action that we've seen since the all-time high. That would be a great sign heading into the spring and summer of 2019. And scenario number three would be a bull break and a lack of follow-through. And when you change a trend with a lack of follow-through, you zoom out on a longer-term time frame and look for clues of flags. And this monthly chart absolutely could be a bear flag. So again, I want it to be a bull flag, or I want it to be bullish, but I'm not going to have my bias cloud my judgment, because this right now is the potential. If we get the bull break of the weekly, that's a weak bounce attempt. And if we don't get follow through over 4,200, that's a monthly bear flag that we absolutely need to be aware of. So we're not going to be able to determine if it's a likely monthly bear flag or not until we see what's it like if and when we break this resistance level. So obviously the fourth scenario would be a rejection from 42.39, an equilibrium through March, and then a bear break back down to the lows of 3,000 on an equilibrium bear break. So those are the scenarios. And for the rest of the next, hour or two, the 2-minute time frame for Bitcoin is the most important for me to make sure we don't break that low of that initial bearish push that we did just see. So on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, inside bar breaks bullish. Keep in mind that Bitcoin has not consolidated on the daily time frame since 35.57. This is our base of a higher low, and we have seen a higher low on every single daily candlestick for the last 6 days in a row. So no little higher low was established, whereas if we look at Ethereum, it's very comfortable with Ethereum because we did pull back and established a clear higher low at 138.16, not too far from where we currently stand before that continuation. And Ethereum had some nice daily inside bars, and really it wasn't 2 daily inside bars exactly because we did get a higher high here by 20 cents, but essentially 2 daily inside bars in a row. Here's the bull break, and we know there's going to be a spike in volume. We've got 6.5 hours left in the day, and we're about to match the volume from yesterday's total trading. So we want to see that volume pick up, and we want to see, ideally increasing bull volume tomorrow with follow-through breaking resistances. Ethereum is the same scenario on the weekly time frame as Bitcoin is in terms of looking at its weekly trend change upcoming. 160.62 is the line in the sand that we are looking at right now. And if, again, all the scenarios that I just said for Bitcoin are the same for Ethereum. We could get a bull break, and if we get no follow-through, it's a potential monthly bear flag. If we get the bull break and the follow-through, it's going to bode well for the first significant trend change that we've seen since the all-time highs heading into summer of 2019. So increasing bull volume on the weekly, we're right there at this resistance. Distance, we need Bitcoin to see 5% for a bull break, and we need Ethereum, $6 would do it. That puts us at about 4%. So a little bit less distance required for the bulls to break resistance on Ethereum. Again, the most important daily support is 138.16. Anything above that keeps the daily higher lows intact. There's that weekly resistance looming. So you can see it just here on the daily time frame, how close we are. Let's look at Bitcoin, how close we are to that weekly resistance level from the daily time frame. And you can see it's still a decent chunk away from where we stand. So I don't think we're going to see Bitcoin break this weekly resistance today. Maybe not even in the next few days. We might need another period of consolidation and to establish a daily higher low at this point. So it's going to be very interesting. It's an important next week or two for the cryptocurrency space to dictate what is the most likely scenario as we head into March and April. Litecoin, let's check out where we're at here. So short-term time frame, all bulls. Again, there's that push down with that correlation of Bitcoin, and the fact that we're heading right back to the high is a great sign that the bulls were able to absorb that, punch. If you imagine it like a battle or like a boxing match, the bulls just, came out swinging, and the bears knocked the bulls hard in the jaw there, but the bulls are able to recover from it, and it's not derailing this move at this point. Certainly not out of the woods yet, but it is looking pretty good so far. So looking at the Litecoin weekly time frame, completely different scenario, as we have already changed this trend. So the weekly chart for Litecoin, and this has led me to say that I believe the bottom is probably in for now on Litecoin. I'm not going to say the forever bottom because I have no idea if we're even going to be alive in 2020. But the bottom for this pullback, the fact that we've bounced over 100% at this point, again, we could see Bitcoin break 3,000 from where we stand right now. And in my opinion, that would bring Litecoin back down, into the upper 20s and still maintain that support. So the bulls have given themselves a lot of comfortability and space to work with before we get back down to those low levels. Also, the exponential resistances on the weekly time frame. They've been resistance for months and months and months. They're now trying to become support. We're going to be watching to see if the Litecoin bulls can get a bull cross of these exponential moving averages. That would be notable. And the next resistance zone we're looking at is 55.94. Actually, 56.40 is what stands out the most to me on the weekly time frame here for Litecoin. And that's the next resistance level that we're going to be watching. Daily chart for Litecoin, inside bar bull break. And actually, it was multiple inside bars. So you look on the 4-hour time frame, it was just a tightening range, clear bull break, but we don't have higher highs yet. And Ethereum out of the major three is the only one that has given us those higher highs right now. So 49.47 was a very clear bull break on Litecoin, but we've only gone about 2% over that level at this point in terms of, percentage moves over resistance. Ethereum's about 4% over its resistance level. And we have Bitcoin attempting continuation on this short-term time frame. So again, nice sign that the bulls were able to absorb a punch to the face on that initial rejection, and it didn't knock them out. So checking in on Ripple, XRP daily time frame, very healthy consolidation, back testing exponential support. Look at the exponential resistance. So resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's support and holding. And Bitcoin did the exact same thing. And it was a glimpse, into the potential future, or I should say into the past. XRP looking into the past to see how Bitcoin rejected, turn it into support, back test and hold it and see continuation. And now XRP, after all those rejections, is back testing it and holding it after that bull cross. So a little bit of a delayed move that's very similar on the daily time frame. Resistance for XRP is going to be up at 34216 and 355 as far as trying to see continuation. And as far as the weekly time frame goes for XRP, it's a little bit of a different viewpoint because we did get this big bull spike. That didn't change the trend. That broke lower highs, but we never got the confirmation higher low and higher high to get follow through. We saw lower highs and lower lows ever since that one very bullish week. To change this trend, we have our low, our weekly bounce top, which is just another lower high in this pattern. And now we have a double bottom at 285. So 285 is a base of support, and the bulls are trying to make their way back up to 466. That's the most important resistance level because anything under that is just continuing this weekly lower high pattern. So there's a lot of space to stay within this pattern right now. We need a 40%, 45% plus move to break that resistance. So the odds that we stay in a tightening weekly range for XRP is greater than anybody that we just looked at. So we could very easily stay in this weekly tightening range for XRP for another 2 months. There's that much space to work with. TRX USDT, also a different weekly setup. And I like this one to be keeping an eye on it because we are looking for the potential of a confirmation of a weekly trend change where we have a significant bounce from the lows of 200%, healthy weekly consolidation to try and form a higher low at 231. And now we're going to try and see if these bulls can confirm the weekly trend change and get follow through. Step number one for giving us a weekly higher low and us confident that that's our new base of support is to change the daily trend. So here's our daily consolidation on that weekly time frame. Obviously just viewing it on the daily chart here. And we have a bull attempt. We rejected just a lower high. Higher low established on the daily, inside bar, bull break. Bulls have a lot of work to do. Again, volume is not standing out on TRX right now, but we need to see a break of 2598 to change the daily trend and convincingly set this weekly higher low. So it hasn't happened yet, but it is something we're keeping an eye out for. And again, it's nice to have names at different points in their charts. You know, not everybody's doing the same thing. And the fact that TRX has already seen multiple weeks of consolidation to form that higher low, it's nice to see that it's in its own setup, essentially. EOS USD, big follow through as well. Inside bar bull break. Clear signal was $4 breaking here, or 401 or 403. And in that scenario, you know, our tops are $4, just under 401 and 403. So I would not, I mean, this is the kind of scenario where you take two different approaches. You either say, all right, well, I want to be sure and I want to wait for 403 to break because they're all right at the same level. Or you take the standpoint like I took on ETH and say, well, if we're going to break $4, the odds are we're going to break 403 right after that as everybody stop buys in and triggers that movement up. So you can essentially get a little bit ahead of the game and skip some slippage by using a lower level. And, you know, maybe if I put my stop buy at 399 and I'm part of that bull momentum to break 4, and that prevents the slippage, so I get my order filled at $3.99 or $4, as opposed to those stop buys triggering and then my orders filled at, you know, 405, and that automatically puts me 1% behind the game. And that seems like a tiny detail in terms of where you're placing your order, but 1% makes a lot of difference in terms of where's your break-even standpoint, how much profit are you going to make on the trade, how much comfortability do you have in terms of wiggle room to maintain your position while keeping in the uptrend. So you know, that 1% definitely adds up over time. And that's something I do in stocks a lot as well, where I'll try and get in, you know, before everybody else's stops are going to be triggered. Obviously, the risk in that is that it's a fake out and you know, make a bull entry and then the bulls can't get follow through and you get rejected and now you're in a bullish position. That doesn't happen as frequently, and the setups will vary. You know, the fact that we consolidated sideways for multiple days in a row has more people paying attention and saying, okay, you know, we've consolidated enough. I would be comfortable getting back into a bullish position if we do see continuation. Those are factors as well as to whether or not I would use that strategy of trying to stop buy in before, you know, everybody else's stops would trigger. I didn't do any EOS analysis. So EOS, let's see the weekly chart. Trend has changed, and that has been the case. Look at the volume. That's beautiful volume. So that's convincing. That's exactly what you want to see when you change the trend. You know, our volume is our prove it indicator, and the bulls are proving it. Keeping in mind, you'd have to take it with a grain of salt in the cryptocurrency space. When I see volume on stocks, I know it's real because I know that, you know, stocks and brokers crack down on wash trading. It's illegal, and you will get, you know, messages from your broker if you're doing wash trading. And people even went to jail in the penny stock world back when I was in that space. Some 24-year-olds went to jail because they were wash trading. But here in cryptocurrency space, we can't trust volume as much because it's the Wild West. There are no regulations around wash trading. And I can be sitting here with $500,000 in one account and $500,000 in another account and just trade back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and build that volume up to make it deceiving to other traders. So not necessarily saying that's the case, but that's always in the back of my mind and always a grain of salt that I do take with things. So the higher low on the weekly time frame of 218 on EOS, the bull break was clearly signaled at 321, and the next resistance level, this is the ideal setup for the bulls because after you break that resistance, because we dumped down here, I'm assuming that's when Bitcoin broke 6,000, but because we dumped, there's a lack of resistance. We're looking up at 584 as the next clear level. So we have 5 psychological and then 584, and the bulls have some nice space to work with. The daily chart has not given us a daily high or low since all the way back at 276. So again, we have to be aware of that and a bit cautious because right now, I mean, where we stand compared to where the last daily support was, that's a 33% drop. And every single day since then has been a higher low, and we're talking 9 days in a row with higher lows. So bulls are in full control with the inside bar bull breaks, but next time we consolidate, we know it's going to be a healthy higher low. So like we've been playing the zoom out game. If you've been watching these videos, you know, we've been playing the zoom out game for a long time with a bearish mindset. You know, we watch the exponential resistance on the 15-minute time frame. We get over it. We zoom out to the hourly and look to hourly exponential resistance and then the 4-hour. Here we're doing it in the opposite scenario. So right now we have hourly exponential support on all these names. Next time we consolidate after this bull move, as Bitcoin is trying to see continuation right now, it looks like nice continuation. So that is a bit of a sigh of relief to the bulls as we approach that resistance on the weekly time frame. But when we consolidate next, we're going to look for hourly higher lows. And here's the EOS. So we're going to look for hourly higher lows, and we're going to watch hourly exponential support. And then from there, we can zoom out and watch the 4-hour exponential support. Look at how good a guide it has been. We've just been grinding this exponential support for EOS, and we know that that's a key level to be keeping an eye out to ensure that the bulls are keeping control on this entire bull move. So exponential supports will always be key for us to determine, is this healthy consolidation? Volume, of course. And here's Litecoin now testing its high, 51.91. So we have seen continuation since I started talking, which was 17 minutes ago. So that's a good sign. Neo, inside bar bull break. Actually, looks like we had a little fake out here. Looks like that inside bar, this wick triggered that inside bar to break bearish, but that's a break of a couple support levels with no follow through. The bulls bought that dip, and now we're getting that follow through here in a big way. 923 breaking was the top of that move at this point. And again, when you see a break of support and a loss of the trend with this lower high and lower low, and you don't get a lot of bearish follow through, you zoom out and look for the potential of a flag. And this wasn't, a picture perfect flag because of that big red day, but still held the exponential support. The daily exponential support now has held 2 tests on this move back up after it acted as resistance a whole bunch just about a month ago. So new daily higher low on Neo is going to be down at 846. Nice continuation to the higher high. And again, the next resistance is 5. Actually, we got a new ticker here. I haven't looked at the weekly yet. Was thinking EOS $5 is the next resistance. So here on the weekly, 965. So we're approaching that weekly resistance level. Look at the volume. So the volume is ideal here in the sense that we have our low, high of the bull move. Higher low was on very low bear volume, increasing bull volume to test resistance now, and 965 is currently about 4% away, less than 4%. So in line with ETH, weekly trend change attempt is coming here, and then we're looking at 10 psychological all the way up to 1267 as really there's a lack of resistance here as well. So psychological levels all the way up through the low teens on Neo. BNB didn't get a bull break just yet. So we know BNB certainly stands out for its lack of correlation with Bitcoin and the other names, which is a great thing when everybody else is bearish and Binance is bullish, but we're not seeing any action today. No big deal, as the bulls have changed the weekly trend long ago. And we've changed this trend now with a clear higher low and higher high and huge follow through. And again, we've made our way all the way back to our levels from October, which would be similar if Bitcoin was trading back in the upper $6,000 range. So a very nice recovery. $11 was our clear resistance, which we did break, but not convincingly at this point. And as far as the daily time frame goes, very healthy bull flag of consolidation. If we break 1013 without breaking 1130, which is our continuation level, then that's a red flag that we might need to see some weekly consolidation. But as of right now, this is extremely healthy. We're just not seeing the bull move with Bitcoin. Again, exponential support, this 12 period as a guide has been helping the bulls ride their way up, and nice follow through on Bitcoin now. 5-minute time frame, very healthy. Ethereum slowed down a little bit in the sense of it had the strongest initial push, but we haven't seen continuation yet, where Bitcoin and Litecoin have seen continuation. So if you were a lightning fast day trader, you would have sold, best case scenario would have been selling Ethereum on that initial bull pump and then jumping right into Litecoin for this laggard pump. But that's expert level, trading that, congrats if you did that, but that's tricky. Either way, I'm just riding. At this point, my Ethereum position, I'm out 40% of my position, and I scaled out, 154, 156, and that's just a strategy that I do to make me comfortable. If I'm entering a large position, I instantly start scaling out, because what that does is it allows me to, number one, have less position and less risk on the table, but it lowers my cost basis. So if I trigger in for a buy at 149 on Ethereum, and let's just say for, ease of numbers, if I do $10,000 at 149, and I scale out at 155, half of that right away. What that does is my cost basis for break even on that position is now down at 143. So it would have to go all the way back to 143 for me to be break even on that trade. And that makes me essentially extremely comfortable, because I can now let this trade try and ride it out. I can try and look for the weekly resistance break in the 160s and get some follow through there, and know that I will exit. We're going to see clear red flags long before 143. So I can pretty much ensure that I'm going to make profit on this trade. And by taking my initial profit entering maybe a larger position that I would be comfortable with and instantly scaling out within the first 15 minutes of the bull break. Like I said, it lowers that cost basis and gives me a lot more comfortability. And that's something I do with stocks all the time as well. It just lowers my break-even point, and it allows me to stay in the trade a little bit longer before, I'm in the red and having to make a decision. Well, I was in the green real quick, but now it's down and I'm slightly in the red. Do I hold out and hope for continuation? It eliminates all that thinking that you have to do with regard to, slightly being in a red position after a bull break. So that's where we stand. We got a 5-minute equilibrium setting up on Ethereum. We've got our high of the bull move, our low of consolidation. Looks like we're rejecting from 156.96 right now. We need a 5-minute higher low. And as far as Bitcoin goes, we are currently, now we're about 4% away from that resistance level, 4.5%. So we're going to watch the 5-minute uptrend on Bitcoin. We're going to watch the hourly higher lows. We're going to watch the exponential support when consolidation begins. Let's now look at the YouTube comments and see what you funny people are saying. And if you want me to look at any tickers, we'll do that, or answer any broad questions as well. And I'll do this for maybe 10 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap it up and check back in perhaps tomorrow. Make sure and get your HD settings on. I'm watching myself right now all blurry in 480. And if you want a coin, give me the coin, the pairing, and the exchange. Give me exactly what you want. That's what you need to do in life. Know what you want and get it. Don't say you want me to look at, BTT. Say you want exactly what you want, and you'll get it. Liking videos would be nice too. Appreciate that. BTT USD Binance stands out. Caps lock letters. It's a man who knows what he wants, or a woman. So on BTT, nice equilibrium on the daily. This is absolutely one to be watching for the next few days until we get this break. So we got the high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high. And we haven't really set a higher low yet. We have a double top at the lower high of 105. So that double top's very clear, but the higher low is still down here at 8.3. So we can pull back anywhere above 8.3 and still maintain a higher low and keep those bulls in control. Or I should say, not keep them in control, but stay within the pattern. So 8.3 is that key support level. And after you see, crazy volatility, equilibrium is the most likely scenario. So there's two ways to play this. You either wait for the bull break of 10.05 and enter on bulls looking for continuation, or you scale in to this consolidation and put your stop loss level below 831. At this point, it's a little bit too much risk for me. You're going to be risking maybe almost 20% before that stop would trigger. So I would begin scaling down a little bit lower. And if that trade doesn't come to me and it doesn't, fill those orders, then I would just patiently wait and potentially try and get in on a bull break if we get momentum behind it. But that's a great equilibrium to be watching. MTL BTC on Binance. Another really tight one. And this is multiple inside bars. Good tight patterns. High, low, lower high, inside bar, inside bar, inside bar. So even if the inside bars break bearish, we're still in an equilibrium as long as we hold 822. Obviously, the bulls want to break the inside bars bullish and head back to resistance of 978 and 998. And you can just see that we're getting extremely tight. The 4-hour time frame is coming up to a key support. So you could use the 4-hour time frame if you want more details and want to act a little bit sooner. Bear break would be 885. That would have us looking down at 869. And a bull break would be 918. That would have us looking at 933 and then 96. TRX USD, I already did TRX on a different exchange. So I actually did a TRX on that exchange. Some of you aren't getting it yet. I'm seeing nice bold tickers, but there's no exchange. Nano, BTC, Binance. So bulls are trying to shift momentum. And whenever I'm doing analysis, so I haven't looked at Nano in forever, so I want the longer term time frame first. What's going on with the trend? Are we close to a trend change? Clearly, we're getting rejected by 12-period exponential resistance on the weekly time frame, and we did get a bull break. Let's see if we change this trend. 2298. So technically, we changed this trend and got no follow through because we had a low, a high of a bounce, a higher low, almost a double bottom, and then a bull break with no follow through. So when you get that happening, that's the scenario that you zoom out and are cautious of the monthly bear flag. So the lack of follow through, definitely concerning. And we headed back down. Let's see, the low of consolidation at that point was 2226, and we did even break it. So we broke resistance. We had a big upper wick, gave it back, and then broke support. So looking at that on the daily time frame, there's your big fake out. And again, the high bear volume. When you see the bear volume comparable to the bull volume and you give back, 80% of a bull break in 2 days, that's obviously a red flag. And then we faded back and ruined that weekly setup. So at this point, it's one of the weaker names that we've looked at. And resistance, I'm looking at 2365, 239, and 252. And the only support here is down at, well, we got two levels, 2214 and 2168. Not an ideal chart for the bulls, especially with other names looking much more bullish. Hot ETH Binance. After this, we're going to switch and go to regular old questions. And I appreciate everybody that gave questions for the AMA that I'm going to be doing. And now I've got 300 questions to read later on this Saturday. And I'll be putting out that AMA answer video at some point within the next week. But broader based questions about trading and things like that, we'll do some of these here before I wrap it up. So weekly time frame, still looking for a higher low on hot ETH. And it's worth keeping an eye out for this weekly higher low to be established. We'll be confident the weekly higher low has formed when the daily trend changes. And we're nowhere near changing the daily trend. And we're in an area with a lack of support. So I'm looking down at 11, make that 824 as support, and then no support to 576. So the fact that we have no support nearby tells us to be patient and to wait for signs of the bulls. This is not the kind of entry that you want to be, scaling into due to the lack of support. Things can get more extreme and RSI levels can get more extreme in that scenario. So clear resistance is 963 and a wall of resistance up in the 1120s, 1126. 1126 is the most important resistance level for me. But in order to change this daily trend, we're probably going to bounce and set a lower high, and then a higher low and a higher high would change that daily trend first. And it's the kind of scenario too where I will take trades like this, almost waiting for that first bounce to take place. So let's just say our bottom was going to be found shortly, which there's no sign of that at this point. But let's say we started our bounce and we say, wow, that's a pretty solid bounce. We're taking out the highs of some of the previous days. We're going to anticipate a daily higher low is going to form on that consolidation. So after the bounce, that consolidation is where I look to enter using the low as my stop level, and then assuming that we're going to form a higher low because of the size of the bounce, and then hope that we get that follow through continuation to change that daily trend and give us the weekly higher low. So oftentimes it's waiting for that first initial bounce to show me, okay, we've created enough space that we can form a higher low after this bounce and try and change this trend. $4 billion into the market cap. That's pretty nice. Appreciate the likes and the shares and all that good stuff. BNB BTC daily cup and handle. If you're looking that long term, I would want to look at the weekly chart for clarity. And the answer is no. So cup and handle pattern, the right side has to reject from the left side. If you break the left side, the psychology doesn't work in the pattern. The pattern psychology is that you cannot break the left side of resistance. You consolidate and you see profit taking from bulls exiting due to the inability to break resistance, but it's brief consolidation to form a bull flag, and then you get the break. So the fact that we've already broken the left side tells me it can't be a cup and handle pattern because that psychology does not fit. Weekly resistance on Nano BTC is up at 2982, yes. Oh man, BTG USD longs. Are they still climbing? I haven't looked at this one in a couple months. Yep, I have no idea what's going on here. Absolutely no idea. And we've even had people, message the exchange and be like, is this a glitch? And the exchange says, nah, it looks legit. Yeah, so no weekly trend change for BTG, nothing that would indicate why there is so much in terms of long positions, long margin positions. $17 is key resistance to try and break the weekly lower high. Bull volume's coming in. It's the most bull volume on the weekly time frame in a long time, but you can only speculate as to what's going on there, and the answer is I have no idea. I embrace getting stopped out. So the question is, when do you try to do stop losses every single trade? And how do I avoid getting stopped out? I get stopped out all the time, and that's how I keep my losses small. You can tell a trader is good when their losses are small and their winners are bigger than their losses. You can have traders that have big wins and they can show you their fancy $100,000 trade win, but if they have 50,000, 70,000 losses as well, that's a huge factor. The biggest upgrade that I had early in my trading career was utilizing stop losses, because I would have the same scenario where I would have 4 great days in a row in a week. I'd be looking great, solid week, and then I'd have one bad trade. It would get away from me. I would average down. It would keep going down, and I just gave back 2 weeks of profit. After, if I had just exited with a stop loss and a small loss, I would have maybe given back 1 day of profit. I'm still green on 3 days of the week. And again, it's just imagine you're walking up a hill to your goal of financial independence, financial whatever, a number, a dollar number. Every single step, you want to just keep moving towards that goal. Every single time you see a big pullback or you don't have a stop loss level, it erases so much of your work. And, just like you hear stairs, step, elevator down on charts, it's the same thing in your account. You can have stairs up, you can grind your way for 2 months, and then one bad trade can erase all of that profit. And I will never again put myself in a position where that's a possibility to happen. So I get stopped out all the time for small losses, and I say, oh, I got stopped out, and I move on to the next trade and I find the next setup. You cannot be afraid to take losses if you are going to be a trader. Again, if I'm, day trading, and I take 1,000 trades over the span of 6 months or a year or however long, I'm going to have, 300, 400 losses. And it's keeping the losses small that can make that still a very profitable year. Good question. Likelihood of a dump, it's always possible, but we'll see it coming. And again, the Bears had a chance and they failed. So that was the Bears' attempt right there for the dump. And we've seen it before with a bull break, and then we just drop right back down lower than where we came from. And here we pulled back to higher than where we came from and then saw continuation. So that was the bull saying, nope, not this time. We're defending this move and we're going to get follow through. ETH is my horse for now just because I like that setup. Again, they're all seeing profit, but I just like the Ethereum setup a bit better. And comfortability trading Ethereum. I actually went and looked back at Litecoin has by far been my most profitable coin that I have traded in my crypto career. And I was actually very surprised to see that. But, back 2017, it had all those wild percentage moves. So Litecoin still hasn't broken its resistance to the high of the bull move. And both Bitcoin and Ethereum have. Possible. So do I see crypto as a forecast for risk appetite across all risk asset markets, including equity markets? And I would say yes. I mean, obviously, 9 weeks ago when the market was dumping and we had no idea what was going on and everybody's saying, hey, is this in the next 2008? And we were in free fall. Money is not comfortable anywhere. But now that we bounced 9 weeks and that's completely relieved all concerns, that is perhaps getting people, and we saw it with the MJ market as well. The MJ market has absolutely thrived in the last 9 weeks while the market has bounced. So risk appetite is being relieved a little bit. That was fear. There was absolutely fear in the markets big time at the end of the year. and that is being eradicated. So I would say yes, the cryptocurrency space going up is a gauge of trader investor risk appetite. I think that's a good way to put it, because obviously this is a very, very risky, high risk, high reward sector still. So if there's people comfortable getting into it, they must be pretty comfortable financially elsewhere as well. If BTC, I like the caps lock to get my attention. If BTC changed the weekly trend today or tomorrow without a daily high or low, it would make me not act on that signal. I would either have to have already acted, that's too extended. So if we break 42.39, that'd be too extended on the daily time frame for me to be comfortable in any entries. And the daily RSI would be up in the mid to upper 80s. And right now, the daily RSI for Bitcoin is the highest it has been since the July bounce. And the July and the April bounce are very notable for me because those are where I made the vast majority of my money in 2018. And I'm proud to say that I had a pretty good year in cryptocurrency, only trading these three names bullish in the entire downtrend. And it's just being patient. And that's, everybody says you can't use technical, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people say you can't use technical analysis in cryptocurrency. And my answer to that is, if I'm making hundreds of trades in a bear market, only trading bullish and still coming out pretty well ahead, how can you explain that any other way? Yeah, if it were a couple trades, you could say luck, but when it's hundreds of times over and over, absolutely technical analysis can be utilized to capture these big bull moves that we did see. And again, this is one of the more bigger bull moves that we've seen on the daily time frame since the all-time high, with the RSI getting up into extended levels. So long story short, I would not enter on a signal of that break of resistance because we're so extended at this point, but we would just look for a daily high or low eventually and to try and continue that daily uptrend. New markets to be keeping an eye on. I'm still interested in the freight shipping sector. I'm going to be going to Tennessee in a month when the futures market is going to launch for shipping, the shipping sector. And that's going to be an historic moment. And I'm going to be watching the futures market for the shipping sector as it's going to be brand new. And I think there's going to be some solid opportunity as that market, tries to figure itself out. It's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be tricky in terms of understanding the fundamentals behind things, but that's where I've been focusing some attention in terms of broadening my understanding in other markets. No free trials. We used to have a free trial, but then we blew up and we were getting, 100 people joining a day. And unfortunately, 100 people joining a chat room a day makes it very sloppy and unorganized. Gold and precious metals bull run has been nice. I haven't taken part in it, but I just went back and looked at a video that I made in like October. And in bold on the ending slide, I said, what's the future hold? And I said, gold and miners, end of 2018, early 2019. And of course, I got so much going on. I've been trading MJ and it's been going great. But I have not partaken in the bullish market for gold or miners. I use the 12 and 26 EMAs. Initially, I started using them because they were on GDAX and they were defaults on GDAX. So I figured, okay, everybody has to stare at these EMAs if you're trading on GDAX. And I started to see them come into play and they started to be great guides for my trades. And then I realized that that's also the EMA 12 and 26 are used in the MACD. So you'll see it's very similar to the MACD in terms of when it gives crosses signals, but I have never used the MACD for support and resistance because it's never been on my chart. But I have absolutely loved the 12 and 26 period all through crypto and certainly started applying it to stocks as well and seeing some nice success there. Longer term time frames. I use it 4-hour, daily, and weekly, and anything on the 5-minute and the hourly, I'm using the exponential 4 and 8 period in stocks. I haven't started applying that to cryptocurrency yet, but when I start more actively trading cryptocurrency back when we get a bull market going, I will probably apply the EMA 4 and 8 to the shorter term time frames, an hour and under. BTC's marching its way. So now we're looking at, 3% to get there? Stops are not based on percentages or dollar levels. My stops are almost always based on, sometimes they'll be dollar numbers, but I'd say 94% of the time it's based on support levels. So that means that I have to get good entries near support to have my risk and reward ratio on the trade to be beneficial. You know, if I'm entering right now on the daily time frame, or let's use the 4 hour. If I'm entering right now on the 4 hour time frame, the only support stop loss level I can use is down here at 31.11. And that's a risk of almost $200. That's way too much risk. So ideally, you know, that helps me, number one, prevent from FOMOing into trades, because if there's no support nearby, I have nothing to gauge my stop loss level on. And it also, you know, keeps me patient, because if I wait for consolidation to make an entry, then that entry on consolidation is much closer to the higher low. So let's say the 4 hour time frame overnight consolidates back down to, you know, 4,000, then that's way closer to the support of 39.11 than we would be up here. That's basically eliminating half of my risk if, you know, it forces me to be patient because we're nowhere near that support level. So support levels are what I base my stop losses on. The only short on Bitcoin or Ethereum I'd be looking at right now is just a top fishing play with its weekly resistance. And, you know, I'd want to get a little bit closer, and I would assume that I'm probably going to get stopped out. But again, it would be small risk. So if Bitcoin's gets to 41.50 and, you know, that weekly resistance break is less than $100 away, you're only going to be risking a little bit. So I'd probably wait a little bit. And if we get close up to those resistance levels and you want to try and short it, you know, you're going to base your stop on those weekly levels, because a lot of people are watching those weekly levels. And we might even see, you know, stop buys triggered from people using those levels, even if we are extended as we reach them. You guys are funny. Here we go. So it's going to be an interesting day. Bitcoin might go for it. Every single market is manipulated. The stock market is manipulated. The gold market is manipulated. Commodities markets are manipulated. You have to accept that this is a game. Treat it like a video game. I know it's a lot different because there's money on the line and money is real. Just it's points on a screen. And in the game, there's good guys and bad guys. And the game is definitely skewed to certain sides. We just have to always interpret it as a game. And there's a lot of games that I played growing up, not just, you know, video games, but I don't know if you ever played Utopia. It was a very old, it's probably still going, but all numbers based. There's no graphics. There's no, you know, crazy 3D action. It's just numbers based. And you have, you know, your kingdom and you're building different things. And it definitely helped me in terms of, you know, doing math in my head. And it's very similar. Maybe someday I'll make a video on how there are games that are similar to the stock market that can potentially prepare you for trading. The more you detach yourself from the money aspect of things, the better you'll do in terms of saying, oh man, I just, you know, lost a car. That's not a good way to be thinking about it. Oh man, I could have just had a vacation if I entered this trade, as opposed to, oh, that's 100 points. Because there's a lot of emotional attachment in our society with money, and that we have to overcome that if we're going to be successful long term in, you know, overcoming our emotions as traders. Glad the alert system helps. So obviously I haven't been, you know, we're not salesmen here at the Chart Guys. We have products and courses and things, and they're here, and we say, hey, you know, we have this if you're interested in it, but we're not shoving it down your throats. And so the alert system recently, you know, we haven't been really pushing it, and we're obviously seeing our numbers, like user numbers, are dropping significantly in this bear market. But, you know, we're not doing paid advertisement because basically I haven't been trading the cryptocurrency space much at all. So if I'm not trading the cryptocurrency space, and I don't think, you know, it's a good idea to be actively, consistently trading at a certain point in time, I'm not going to be telling you to buy the alert system. But Obviously, when conditions change and it's a much more favorable environment, the alert system is very useful in terms of, not having to stare at the screen and having your phone let you know when things are going down or when things are really overextended and, we're due for some consolidation. So absolutely, we're going to be, making alert system videos again when the market environment shifts to warrant actively trading in this space. And I feel it's a good idea to be doing so. And I'm doing so myself and using the alert system myself. So we're definitely going to be, back at it. And we're already starting to change the indicators a bit. The market environments are always changing. So we change the settings a little bit, is if our overbought indicators are going to trigger on this RSI plus this amount of volume plus, these other inputs that we have, we adjust those levels based on, when we were dumping in Bitcoin and the RSI on the 4-hour time frame would get under 20 often, we would drop the triggers of what's going to trigger the oversold climax bounces. So we're always, monitoring this system and changing it and adding to it, but basically just waiting for trading to be very favorable and easy again in this environment as it was back in 2017. So we appreciate the support for those of you who are still using the alert system, alerts.chartguys.com, but we're going to be talking about it a lot more once we get weekly trend changes and bullish confidence back in the space. So you'll be hearing more about that in the future. So I'm going to wrap it up now. I got stuff to do. I'm going to make the USMJ video. I got a commodities video to make. I got an AMA video to answer. I've got a member video to make about my current trading strategies and the EMAs and how I use them. And I even got something else. I got an options open interest video to make. Long list. Try and pump that out in the next couple weeks. And I appreciate you all watching. It was nice to go live again for the cryptocurrency space. We know what levels we're watching on the weekly time frame. That's going to be key. When we lose the 5-minute uptrend on these bull moves, we're going to look on the hourly for a healthy hourly higher low to form. ETH could not break that resistance. Actually, I take that back. While I was talking, we did. So nice to see a little bit of a break of that double top. But look at that volume. That's a good amount of profit-taking volume on that bull break. So let's see if we need to consolidate and form an hourly higher low on all these names. Thanks again. Have a great weekend out there. Get outside if you can. And do a good thing, or more than one good thing. Do good things. And again, I put it at the end of the video, of the USMJ video, one more thing to talk about. The Do Good Things nonprofit that we created. So we have raised at this point a little over $1,000 just from the profit from our shirts and sweaters and stuff from dogoodthings.chartguys.com, and some people have made donations. We appreciate that. So we have, a little over $1,000 in this nonprofit. Chart Guys, we're going to round that up to 2,000, and we are going to take suggestions. So if in the comments of this video on YouTube, once it's uploaded, if you want to give a suggestion for a nonprofit, we're going to look at a bunch of them and we're going to choose 3 that we like, and then we're going to put it out to the community to vote and, to determine where this money goes for this round, and then we'll continue raising money, and we'll do this multiple times a year. And we appreciate any words are gone. That means I'm done. Thanks again. See ya soon.